So you're a new sales guy at a manufacturing company, or you're new into sales or fresh hire or whatever. What are the first steps that you should take when you're trying to plan out your sales strategy and what you want to hit, who you want to go after, and what should you do?
Drop that. Yeah, feel the funk, y'all. Yeah, feel the funk, y'all. Yeah, you lay back in the cut. What's up? What's up? From Alpha to Omega, VHS to Beta, PlayStation to Sega. My skill.
The first thing you need to do is start with your existing customers. So get a list of your existing customers, and I want you to rank them A, B, and C, or 1, 2, and 3, and go through it with whoever has some knowledge on the accounts or has some experience. Don't just take one person's word for it, because a lot of times that's not right. One person may say there's no growth potential there with that customer, and that's just that person's opinion. They didn't actually put in the work to figure it out. So first thing, take a look at your existing customers, put them on a list, talk to some people, rank them, and figure out who has potential to grow. So once you figure out who has potential to grow, now you can prioritize who you're going to start meeting with, who you're going to reach out to, who you're going to schedule conference calls with. Take a look at the current stuff that they're doing. Take a look at any sort of quality issues that you have, or complaints, or any sort of historical data that you can get on that particular account. And now you've got your marching orders to go into the second step. Step 2, you need to try and sell people that you didn't close before. So selling the unsold. You've already done the work to get somebody's attention previously, or your company has if you're somebody that's new. You've done the work, you've gotten the attention, you've got an opportunity to quote something. A lot of times, most salespeople don't follow up enough past the first few attempts to really close the deal. So you need to circle back and get a list of all of the different people that you guys have quoted. I typically say go back 3 years. Hopefully your company has that information, and you can access it and start to put everybody down on a list. The reason why you want to start with those people and reach out, if you're new to the company or if you're new to sales at that company, you can come in as a fresh face. A lot of times you're going to realize that a lot of these people might have left if it's been a few years, or have moved on to a different role, and they're not the right contact. But basically what you're trying to do is say that we quoted you a couple years ago, or we quoted this to you. You wanted to check on the status of it. That's kind of a Hail Mary to see if it's still even active. But it's just a way to reintroduce yourself if you're new, or if you're handling the account for the first time. Maybe it was a different sales guy. Just get back in front of them. Like I said, you've already done the hardest part, which is to get the attention of the person. Don't just give up and quote something and then nothing ever happens from it, and then you're like, oh shit, I guess that person's not interested. Keep following up with them. So now that you're going through this process again, get back in front of them and then qualify them again. They know they know who you are, they remember who you are. So at least at a company level, maybe not necessarily the individual, but they remember the company possibly, or you can at least reference, hey, I quoted this was a project. They will accept a phone call. They will accept a personal visit. Don't just shoot them an email and say, hey, following up with this, I'm new to the company, or I'm new to the account, wanted to see what the status is. Don't do that, because if you shoot somebody an email and they can very easily hit you back and say, oh, that's dead, I don't have any interest, and then boom, they're out. So you need to try and get a call set up, or just pick up the phone and call them, or preferably a personal visit set up, or pop in there if you have to, if nobody's responding. But first step, try and get a call or a personal visit. Just revisit those people, because it's so important that you may have a gold mine of potential pipeline opportunities that you can close much quicker, because there is at least some sort of transactional history, whether or not it was just communication transactions, or you can come in as a savior and say, yeah, hey, John, he really didn't do a good job. That's why he's not here anymore. I'm taking over this now. I want to service you as a salesperson. I want to follow up. I want to see what we can do to help you guys out. But going after those people that were not sold, selling the unsold, so important. And most companies just write that off as you didn't close them, so it's no point in going back to them.
Crooked like the left finger on ET. Please believe me, this be the realest thing I ever wrote. Right after talking to Pop, puffing on heavy smoke. Laugh now, cry later. My only dream in life.
Now, those are just two of the tactics that you can use when you're new in sales or new with a company. Now, a lot of times in manufacturing sales, maybe you don't get any existing house accounts. Maybe you've got to come in as a hunter. Maybe you don't get to talk to anybody that you've quoted activity for, because the whole reason why they brought you in was to bring in new activity. If that's the case, we'll cover some other tactics that you can use in different vlogs moving forward. But for those guys that already have at least some activity, you don't have to start from complete scratch. Once you get these two lists together and you've got a good base of people to go after, once you start going after them, now it comes into follow-up, which is the most important aspect of it, is that you've called them, they haven't answered. You've emailed them, they haven't answered. You've emailed them 12 times, they still haven't answered. You called them, left some messages, they're not calling you back. You stopped by and done personal visits, they're not responding. You have to get creative with your follow-up. That's where you have to get to a point where maybe you're going into it from a LinkedIn standpoint, extremely effective, messaging them on LinkedIn, hitting them, asking them to connect with you on LinkedIn, or you have to send them something in the mail. But you have to get creative to where if somebody's not responding to you, and for a fact, and that's kind of the first thing, is for a fact that they use your services or your products or one of your competitors' products, and there is some pre-qualification that you've done there. If you know that, then continue to not give up. Continue to push through and get creative with your follow-up. Now, one thing is, don't try and sell to the unsellable. If you don't know that, then now you're just wasting your time. You're just spinning your wheels. If you don't know that they're in the market for what it is that you do, services or products, then essentially you're just going to be hitting that brick wall over and over again, getting frustrated. So if something comes up to where they're not a good fit for you, or you're not getting through, and you don't know for certainty that they use your product, then just move on to somebody else. Hit them up 6 weeks later, 8 weeks later, push them down the cycle contacting list, throw them on a drip campaign for email automation, poke them on LinkedIn, and just at least you're in their feed at some point. But the follow-up and the methods that you use, that's where a lot of people just drop off and say, I tried calling them twice, or, we'll talk to clients and say, well, what have you done to follow up? And it's, I've called them, left them messages. Yeah, but have you tried the 12 other ways to do it? So once you get those two things organized, be persistent, be consistent. Those are two things, persistence and consistent. Keep following up. Don't overly follow up to where you're just an annoyance, but don't just write people off. Put them in some sort of drip campaign automation, and that'll get you going down the right path. So as always, guys, like, share, comment, subscribe. If you want to know about hunting and how to get new people that you've never even talked to, or how to find new people that you can sell to, that'll be definitely in another vlog. I've gotten a couple of messages recently about guys looking for some hunting tips on how to bring in new prospects into their pipeline. So stay tuned to the next ones.
The way that I spit these letters, I'm kicking it with white boys in old Navy sweaters, ball cap low on my eye, cause sometimes I'm listening to my style so much, I'm just trying to get by, I'm just saying.